We are live.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Sunny day, sunny day. Okay, let me just make it straighter. There you go.
Don't want to give the wrong message
Hold on a second. You're saying the wrong message.
about not being straight.
Ah. I didn't even realize I said that. Oh, man. Okay, so today, what's on the list for today?
Well,
We're going to continue from last week, that's for sure.
100%.
And Chris is going to lead it again.
Yes. Actually, thank you. The new person. He said it's his
And-
first time. Welcome.
First, how you doing, Ant?
So last week we talked about the ecosystem in the way of a personal human being. Because when it comes to ecosystems, we're talking about the world, talking about how the world functions, especially when it comes to nature. We talked about how ants, for example, each of them when they're born, they know what their role is. For example, one knows that they're the queen, another one knows they're gatherers, another one knows that they're servants to the queen, and so on and so forth. And so we were discussing the reality of what is it for a human being, especially that we are conscious beings. And then I made the joke about how the UK actually now recognizes octopuses as conscious sentient beings. So it becomes an interesting development, right? Because the question is our consciousness a skill we have? And the Egyptians actually did find it as a sense. So there was the major five ones, so touch, smell, hearing, taste, seeing, and then the sixth one for them was thinking, and it was an actual sense. And I like that because when you think too much, it's overly stimulating. When
Stresses
you,
your body out too.
exactly. And when you don't think enough, you're just going with the flow, which isn't a bad thing. Because again, when you look at the animal kingdom, a beaver knows what to do, a bird knows what to do, they're just living their lives. Unless again, science can prove that they're consciously and sentient and they're actually thinking about stuff. So when it comes to us and our ecosystem, how has it that we've become a city compared to a farm, compared to living in the jungle, being an Amazon? Woo! You know? So there's a lot of fun ideas when it comes to the topic of the ecosystem. And last week we did more of an intro. Now we're really going to focus on the ecosystem of a friendship. See, Anthony and I are friends. How did that happen? Well, we can look at the ecosystem and the reality that there was a past connection and the fact that we went to high school together. Later on, we both went into the idea of what's really going on in the world because we like challenging those ideas. And let's be honest, we didn't feel like everything was kosher. It's not.
And we also went into the realms of trying to help as many people as we can. So that was, I'm straying away, but not straying away, but it's
No, you're
hitting your
giving-
point. But it's basically we both had hit an energetic path where we're helping people, and now our paths met so that we could help more people together.
And that actually comes to the answer of Andrew brought up last week. And please check out our past video, the 47th one, where, where is it divine and where is it actual choice? And so that's where the energies we sent out there, and then 10 years later, 15 years,
No, sorry, 12 years.
12 years. Okay, I was about to say, am I really that old?
12 years later. 12 years later.
The connections reattached, and now we're part of each other's ecosystem.
Yep.
And then you have to ask yourself, consciously, we did choose to send it out there because we both chose a path of wanting to help people, wanting to understand the truth of the world. And especially after COVID, there's more and more people interested in the truth. So the importance of the ecosystem in a friendship way is knowing yourself in the way that what is it that you want and recognizing, okay, are these people part of my path or are people not part of the path? What do you think, Ant? What do you want to jump in to say about that?
Well, no, I believe that yes, we do put out into the universe what we think and what we put out ourselves, right? So exactly the same concept where we want to help people as much as possible, and the universe put us together because our paths are to help people, but we're also compatible in a way that we help people differently, but at the same time what we do complements each other, and that's what I think. And this goes for friendship, relationship, business, whatever it is, a business relationship. It's the universe is going to put the people in your path to help you grow, for sure, to help you acknowledge your own growth, each other's growth, but also fulfill the journey you're supposed to take on, either alone or together. And by doing that, they put people in your path that can help complement those aspects. And it could also be for a lifelong lesson, a lifelong journey. It could be a part-time, but everything flows in a sense where whatever you're going to put out, and whatever you put out, you're going to attract at the same time. So
Exactly. So to answer Andrew's full question of how much of it is diverse and what's the word you use? Divine, and how much of it is choice, it's actually both. It's a balance of both, because what you send out at one point comes back later on and says, "Oh, there it is," and it's like, "Whoa!"
and when it comes to choice, and yes, it's divine, but then you have the choice to feel if it's divine, and you could accept to go on the path together or not. Like I could have said, "Well, Chris, just come for a coffee and that's it. We'll talk and that's it." But then it was, "All right, here's my choice. Would you like to be on board with the team?" That's the other 100%. Thing too. And that's where the balance comes in too, because now you understand both sides of the story.
And now we're making a new ecosystem within Kabbalahs.
There you go.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
And that's what the ecosystem of a friendship is. And now, really, you said business, you said this, you said that. At the end of the day, it's the formation of what is around you. Mm-hmm. When you look at a toad, you recognize that a toad is in a swamp, lives within the swamp, makes sure that there's food, makes sure that his basic needs are met, and then there's other toads so that they could procreate and make a family. And for humans, the idea of consciousness is where the choices come in. Because see, frogs don't choose whatever lover they want, they just go for it. Penguins, though, actually mate for life. And that, again, is very interesting topics. Because where is it that it's natural, and where is it that it's consciously choosing? And that's the topic of destiny versus choice. And it does involve the ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, when you make a choice to build a McDonald's compared to making a health store, it's a choice. And that's where, the idea of politics is supposed to be, but actually it's not. And that's why things have to change. Because now we're at a point in our lives where we can make a voice. Technology allows us to. In the past, if you want to make a noise about something, you had to go to the political conversation, sit there, go to the podium, have a conversation, ask questions, then they would give you a baloney situation. But now there's WikiLeaks, and look, now we know what kind of politicians we have. And that's the reality. So ecosystem, friendship, in the way that you get to actually choose who's part of yours. Because a friendship doesn't lock you in like a family does. That's where choice is there. Actually, when you decide to marry your best friend, that again is your choice. In some cultures, it's arranged. And that is in itself another level of ecosystem. The ecosystem of choice and the ecosystem of no choice. Interesting stuff right there.
Yeah.
I made him speechless.
Yeah, I was actually thinking. Yeah.
And and then you can go, if you have any questions, please put them up in the conversation comments. Ecosystem on a friendship level is your choice. Your family, on the other hand, is not a choice.
That could be taken both ways, though.
100%.
Okay, well, now we're going a little extreme. Obviously, you come to this universe, to this earth, already chosen the life you want, really, and
that is a belief system.
That's a belief system as well. But yeah, that could also be another form of choice too. Is when you come in here, you already know who your family is, your family, friends, what you're gonna like. Your path is already set up. There's that proverb in is it? I don't even know the Egyptian, the maktub. I always use it a lot lately. Maktub. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, to be honest, but it's maktub. Basically, it's already written for you. So you already come here, and everything's already written for you.
And then the question is, what is choice and what is not choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's already written for you. But if you already know ahead, because we have the answers all inside us, but if you already know ahead, it's up to you to choose if you go on that path or not. So I guess maybe that's where the choice actually comes.
And that's why we're called No Name Podcast. Because now you know there's an idea like that out there. And it's your choice to choose that perception.
Yep.
And that's why we're talking in this series about ecosystems. And right now we're talking about friendship in the way that friendship is your choice, because it's in the way that you've put out there what kind of situation you want, and then it came. Anthony is saying that we've already made these decisions, but we tend to forget them because when we're getting born, the idea of this ideology is that as you're born and you grow, you forget. And then you're having these situations.
You don't just forget; you get programmed to in certain ways, right? So,
you really get pushed away all the
Yeah.
idea, all the stuff that you were like blueprints, right?
it was like we were saying even before the podcast. Is what do we say before the podcast? That you get the. Well, I just got a blank. We were talking.
Interesting.
We were talking about choosing the friendship, but then. It's
the values are there.
Yeah.
Everything goes well, but then as you get older, values change.
yeah.
And because values change and people don't, some people grow and some people want to stick to who they are, things happen. And so that friendship ends. And if you look at the word friend, end is in it.
Yeah. Well,
Fry end.
nothing gold lasts, right? That's saying. But at the same time, you do have the choice to keep those friendships as much as possible. So,
100%. Which again, when we come to friendship, and let's talk about family, you decide who becomes your family. Some people out there in the world, sadly, are orphaned, but they go out there in the real world and then they make their own friendship. They make their own family.
which becomes their family.
Exactly. And some people, again, according to this theory, that's the family they were always meant to be. It's just that they didn't come here. They had to learn a few things before getting to that level. And that's a way of thinking. That's a way of knowing. Yeah. Get it? No? Bye. Okay.
I caught on.
So yeah, and so that's where consciousness really becomes an important conversation in the ecosystem of your own self. Because as a human being, you make your system, you make it what it is around you. And people tend to forget that it is a choice. And once you realize you have the choice, you have the power to make boundaries. And you'll be
And that's
able...
a big one, is to create the boundaries. Because a lot of people don't create that boundary.
Exactly.
And that's where the self-respect and respect of others is very important too. 'Cause go ahead.
And boundaries at the end of the day is what laws are. Like the idea of rights and all that stuff is the boundaries. Is to say, hey, there's a boundary here for child rights. Every child deserves a childhood, for example. That's a boundary. We've all decided as a collective agreement to say, hey, as much as there's business in the world, and this is only business, blah, 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 blah. No, there's a boundary where you can't use a child as a slave. You can't employ a child. There's a boundary there. The child should have the chance to explore and be themselves, have fun, have inflatables.
But when we're
inflatables
talking
are
about
fun.
friendship, when we're talking about the friendship aspect, it's boundaries are very important, so that you're both on the same page as well.
Yes.
You both understand each other, but there's no expectations and there's no there's no judgment, there's no expectations, there's no fear of
Making a mistake.
making a mistake, yeah, or even just the fear of I'm gonna lose a person,
For a reason that you're not even sure of.
And, yeah, no, 100%, because then you end up creating things in your mind after, right? So
Exactly.
that's where you stress yourself out. But when there's boundaries set, and you know you're both on the same level, yes, connection is a big part of any relationship. But the boundaries will keep that connection stable, secure, and much stronger. And that's where having those boundaries, communication is a big key as well. A big key where not being restricted to say what you think. A lot of people feel that in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, family, or a romantic relationship. So that's where, when you're able to express yourself, you're being true to your own identity, your own person, and you're being true to your, I'll say partner, because it's just could be partner for anything, but that's where you actually understand how to be and how to be yourself and how to be true to yourself.
And while you have somebody in front of you, you're bouncing off what you believe and what you confirm.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it happens that, like, for example, some people don't believe in the truth. They rather live a lie of lies. And because they want those lies to make their ecosystem with one person good, but then the person that there is truth doesn't work. And so one person has to make a choice saying, I don't want to be friends with somebody who's a complete liar, because then it's not true to me. And that is a very tough decision to make. But it's a conscious decision, because you're consciously lying, and that hurts. Or you're consciously choosing, you know what, I'm going to confront the person and we'll see how it goes. And majority of the time, if you're confronting a liar, well, they want to believe that lie, so it ends. And that's a sad reality.
The boundaries also give you a sense of how other people understand and where their visions are too, because everybody's perspective is different, for sure, 100%. Even me and Chris, we both have the same ideas and same thoughts, but our perspective might be a little different. Nobody's perspective of anything or in the world will be the same or right, for that matter, because whatever works for you might not work for someone else. But where you understand each other and where you put those boundaries and you set those boundaries, you understand each other better and you're able to grow together much more efficiently.
And that's where it comes down to the idea of the ecosystem of ants or bees. And if you watch the bee movie, it's even better, because they actually tell you, the bee graduates and then it's told right away, what kind of bee are you going to be? Are you going to be one of those warrior ones that you go out there and you take the pollen and come back in? Or are you working on the pollen? Or are you again working for the queen? And that's an interesting thing, because all these people have different perceptions. Bees have different perceptions of what is their purpose, what is it that they need to do, but they live within their own ecosystem and they make each other work. And that's where the boundaries of getting to know what you contribute of is what you are. And that's why it's important to be conscious.
And know your purpose.
Know your purpose, and then you can finally make your ecosystem something you agree with. Because that's something true. A lot of people live in live in their own ecosystem that they don't agree with. They feel that, do I want to keep staying or do I want to go? Do I stay or do I go?
And that's what we were saying also before, is the more that you stay in an environment or believe that you're going to stay in an environment, the more that the universe is going to push in your face and be like, no, it's not for you. And it's just going to make things harder. And the longer that you're in I don't want to say negative, but it is a negative. The longer that you're in a space that's not right for you, the further and longer that you're going to push your own success or your own journey away than something that you actually truly desire to have.
And that's where it all comes down to. Your ecosystem, and that's why this is part 2. Ecosystem, your choice. And it is your choice because you're human. That's the reality. Some animals don't have a choice. They are born, they do what they have to do, and then they die. It's just a sad reality, right? An ant is born every second of the day, and then they do their job, and then they die. It's just what it is. And then the queen reproduces another one. Human beings is different. We're on a totally different wavelength of the divine, and you consciously have a choice. And like Anthony did mention, there is a level of programming that goes on. For example, McDonald's. I love bringing up McDonald's. But if you ever sit down with a kid and watch their television shows, how many freaking goddamn McDonald's commercials can you watch in one sitting? Right? It's insane. But you're being programmed to want McDonald's.
Just like any commercial, the more that you see it, the more that it's programmed in your mind. So it's not just McDonald's, that's the industry of marketing is very strategic in that manner because they implement little things without you noticing, color schemes, size schemes, visuals, just so that it's programmed in your mind so that you consciously, actually subconsciously choose to want, example, McDonald's. So that's where certain programmings can affect your own decisions.
And that's why Anthony and I, our goal with this podcast is to make people know stuff
And realize.
and realize stuff like this. Because
Be more aware.
be more aware, because only once you're fully aware do you actually make your own choices.
100%.
Choices that are from within and are your choices, not anyone else's, yours.
Listen to your hearts.
And that's how you develop your own ecosystem. And that's why next week, and that's where it's leading to, is how does the mind become what it is? How do you get programmed? How do you make your own choice after you realize, oh, look at all these programs in my head. What do I choose to keep? What do I not choose to keep? And that's going to be next week.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Continued.
Have a good one. We care.